I'm going to go over the consumable items in Anarchy Online that I know about. If I miss any good ones, I'd love to hear about it in the comment section. There's kind of a lot to go through, so I'll try to move pretty quickly here. First of all, Hercules Olympic Pills. This is an essential twinking tool. Adds 5 to stamina, agility, and strength, and 175 to max health. Plus, it lasts for 30 minutes, so I'll frequently use this just in normal combat, mainly in order to hit stamina breakpoints for whatever heal delta interval tick I'm aiming for. And luckily, these have been duped like crazy, and they're pretty cheap on the GMI. I'm not sure where they originally come from, so if you know, I'd be curious to hear about it. But as things stand now, they're just gifted to us from the dupers. Extruder Nutrition Bar. I think anyone who's twinked will be familiar with this one. Adds 2 to all abilities and a little bit of run speed and some offense modifier. Maybe low-level twinks use this for duels as well. I'm not sure, but it doesn't last for very long. The lockout is longer than the buff, unlike Hercules Olympic Pills, so I've only ever used it for twinking. Weird looking candy cherry. These drop from Uncle Pumpkinheads. There's 10 different varieties. 9 out of the 10, I think, just polymorph you, but this one is unique in that it adds 10 to add all defense, lasts for 24 hours, and only costs 2 NCU. So it's literally one of the best single target buffs in the game because of how extremely NCU efficient it is. The tricky part with this one is that obviously it only drops during Halloween, but it's also unique. So if you want multiple of them on the same character, you have to store them in the GMI, or maybe storing them in your mail also works. I'm not sure. Silirrion Scones. This is a really cool item, only from level 190 or above though. I'll just show what it does here. It's a max health buff that steps down over time by intervals of 200, so I'll just click through and show you what it becomes. 800 and then down to 600, 400, and 200. So on average, I don't know, maybe it provides something like 500 health or something like that. It's relatively easily farmed. They are crafted from foodstuff containers that drop from Shadowlands missions and dungeons. Definitely a great tool for anyone who's trying to survive in a PvM or PvP scenario. Curse of Malahde. This is a pretty cool item. I'll just show it here because it doesn't show in game. It lasts for 30 minutes. You can have it up all the time because it lasts for as long as the lockout is. 200 run speed, 220 max health, 15 melee and physical in it. The tricky part is that it only drops in stacks of 10, and it drops from this boss in Inferno, Malahde, or however you pronounce that. I'll just show you the boss right here. So if you actually try to farm this, you're gonna get ganked by 10 different mobs, but it's a pretty easy fight. In my experience though, the drop rate is probably I don't know, 2 to 5%. So given that it only drops in stacks of 10, it's hard to justify actually farming it. But if you're a duper, this would be pretty cool. And it also creates this, maybe you couldn't see it that time, but there's this cool text that appears when you use the item. Maybe it's just in a chat window, actually. JJ berries are something that I think a lot of PvPers will be familiar with. They're these little first aid items, but unlike health and nano stims, which lock the first aid skill, these lock the adventuring skill, which is really nice. The main downside here is that they don't stack with themselves, so it's hard to put them on your hot bars, and they also take a lot of inventory space, plus you have to farm them individually. I'd much rather farm JJ berries than these Curse of Malahdes, though. I'll just show you where I farm them when I do. In Deep Artery Valley, there are the Entfinds in this area. And the drop rate seems like pretty decent, I think. Not terrible. Sanity recovery medication. This is a really nice item. It's really easy to get. Drops from Figments of Imagination in Steps of Madness. I'll just show you over here. It's a short hot, so if you're a fixer or a doctor, it won't stack with your short hots, but every other profession can get a lot of use out of this, even in the age of buff bots, because it's a short hot. So, and I think it works out to about the equivalent of 18 heal delta for a character with a 2-second heal delta tick. So pretty nice. And I even use it as a fixer because fixers are one of the few professions that can really go hard into a Notum repulsor build where they wouldn't be able to cast their normal short hots, but they'd still be able to use sanity recovery medication. So it's a really, really nice item for that. While on the topic of Steps of Madness, there are also Nightmare Therapy Pills, which are just like a much better version of free movements, except they're only usable level below 100. So below 100 they're really good, but since I'm not below 100 for very long, I never really use these very much. Bacchante's Anun Wings. This is kind of a weird item. I'll show what it does over here. I have a quality level 182, and at quality level 182 it adds 41 fire damage for 30 seconds and has a 60-second lockout time. The main problem with these is that if you actually try to farm them and you're not a duper, they're going to come in all kinds of random quality levels, so you won't be able to stack them in your inventory. They're going to take up a ton of space. The buff just doesn't last for very long, and in practice they're just impractical, I guess. But it's kind of a fun trade skill. I can show it to you here. Use an E-beamer on an Anun leg, and according to Vabla 2, probably the last trade skill to be figured out back in 2008, which is kind of cool. Up next are these frozen Yuttos remedies, which drop, or are crafted rather, from Alapa drops. I'll show you them here. This one is really good. All three of these last for 30 minutes, and they each consume 20 NCU, which is one of the big problems. This one is 50 to add cold damage, which is really nice. If you actually do cold damage, this is an amazing item to have. Like, always use it. These other two, 5 to add all defense, 2 to heal delta and nano delta, which is just like comically low. For the amount of NCU that these take, it's hard to justify ever bothering with them, except if you're in like some extreme, I don't know, PvP or solo scenario. I've used this 5 out all defense a little bit. This one's Steaming Hot Cup of Enhanced Coffee. I think everyone's probably seen this. It's good if you're trying to push damage, so people use it all the time in PvM. It has the downside of adjusting your ag def value, which, as far as I know, does increase your chance to be hit. So just be careful if you actually do use these. It comes at a bit of a cost. This item, Inactive Cyborg Service Tower and other service towers, this is the max level service tower. This is a really nice item that I'll show you here. It's literally like a little pet. You can give it pet commands just like a normal pet. It can attack things. You can cast buffs on it. And most importantly, it has this drone shield. It's an AoE shield. It affects all of your teammates, maybe all of your raid mates. I don't actually know. But gives you this nice shield modifier, ACs, perception buff if you're twinking, and then also this healing over time. which is really nice. I think that works out to about 47 heal delta for a user, for a player with a 2-second heal delta tick. So that's like very significant. The downside is that you have to craft them individually. They don't stack. They don't stack in your inventory, and you can only use them outdoors, but you can use them in the Shadowlands, which is nice. Here are AC enhancing stims. There are actually 3 different AC enhancing stims. I only have two of them. This one, I believe all 3 of these last for 30 minutes. This one is 500 to chemical AC, 500 to radiation AC, and they're locking their actual AC skills, so that's really nice. You can use these whenever you want. They're not going to conflict with anything else. And I'll show you the other one. These 2 are easily crafted, if I remember correctly. This one, Mutated Slitherblood, is the cold AC version of those, and unfortunately it drops from Adina in the underwater in Adonis, Cold Slither. So that one is a lot harder to get, and I think these would probably be more popular if they were targeting more useful ACs like melee or projectile. Some of these you don't run into a whole lot in PVM as far as I know. I'll show some of these random little stims. There's the Muscular Stim. Let me see if I have this here. There's a little trade skill to make this one. It's kind of nice actually. At level 200 it gives a 360 body development for 120 seconds. But then for 240 seconds there's a little bit of a debuff. This is a pretty significant boost. I think there are some scenarios where I would legitimately want to use this. And it's also convenient sometimes for twinking, because there are some items like Might of the Revenants or Corrupted Flesh which require body dev, and this is a nice body dev buff, so sometimes it's actually a nice twinking tool. The Boosted Stim, this is another one that buffs you for a little bit and then debuffs you for a bit longer. You can see the values here. I don't know if I would ever use this in PVM, but there is a little bit of a heal that goes along with it. I don't know, it's kind of interesting. I could see PvPers using this for sure, for like duels and such. And then there's the Speed Stim, which is another nice stim. Both of these, Speed Stims and Boosted Stims, are shot buyable. This one adds a lot of run speed. Good for getting away quickly when things don't work out, I suppose. Next up, I'm going to talk about lots of different like treatment laboratory type things. These health and nano rechargers, this is what players used to use before the current ones that you can buy in shops, which are like more powerful. This is not a good example because it's the premium version, but the ones that you can buy in shops right now, which heal both your nano and your health, they can't be used when your team is in a fight or when your pets are in a fight. Whereas as long as you don't have aggro, you can use either of these when your team is fighting and even when your pets are fighting. So it's pretty nice. This is a crafted, better version of this one right here. So if you want to go hard into this strat, if you're like a pet user who's trying to solo stuff or whatever, you want to look into how to craft these. 4,000 health every 30 seconds. The pretty low treatment requirement, it's really nice. And then there's also battle prepared kits for both health and nano. These are different than these other ones because they can be used while you yourself are in combat. So this is a really nice one that I think most people will have seen before, but I'll just show it here. You sit and then you stay seated and the heal will go off. The nice thing about this as well is that it locks material location, so you can use it in conjunction with these other normal laboratories. And you can also stand up while the bar for this is moving. I'll just demonstrate it here. So you sit in order to use it, it starts this action, and then you're standing up right before that bar finishes. You sit, but during that standing window, you can still use like weapon special attacks. So like as a fixer, when I'm using it in battle, I'll stand up and, you know, pop off a burst, a fling shot, a full auto. So pretty nice, and you don't lose as much time in the fight. And you can kind of get that heal almost for free. Another one that goes along with these two, it's not actually a consumable, it's reusable, but I just want to mention it because we're right here. Oh, by the way, these you have to be on Rubicon to use. This one you can be anywhere, and it also allows you to use it while your teammate or your pets are in a fight. It heals for 60% of your health. Really, really nice at higher levels, and or any level really. And it locks a third skill, so you can use all three of these to heal yourself during combat in different scenarios. This one locks pharmaceuticals, and this comes from the veteran shop. I know not everyone has, like, not every account has veteran points. I've seen in the database there's a premium healing laboratory, but I don't know how to get it. It does like the same thing, but it's called premium. Maybe there's a way to buy this from the item shop or something. I don't know. I've only ever seen the veteran version, but it's pretty friggin' good. It would be a shame to like be a pet user who really wants to solo stuff and not have access to this item, I think. There are Shadowlands versions of these two items. These can be used, again, when your teammates or pets are in a fight. This is the combined version of these two, but this one is worse because your teammates or pets cannot be in a fight. So once you combine it, it actually becomes kind of worse. So I never bother doing that. This Revitalizing Serum is interesting. It requires first aid, and it's like a little heal. The difference between this and what everyone is used to, the Health and Nano Stim, well, this one adds Nano as well as Health, but Nano isn't useful for all professions or in all scenarios, and this locks out first aid for 40 seconds, whereas this locks out first aid for 10 seconds. So if you've ever found yourself in a scenario where you're kind of waiting around in a fight in order to lose enough health to justify the use of a Health and Nano Stim, that right there is opportunity cost. Instead of waiting to lose that health, you could be popping off one of these Revitalizing Serums, which is like less risky because it's only going to lock you out for 10 seconds. You're going to pay less overhealing cost, and you won't have to wait around and spend that opportunity cost. So if you're really trying to min-max your self-healing, looking into Revitalizing Serums is definitely a good thing to do. I've used them a little bit, but it is kind of micromanagey, so I tend to be lazy, and I also tend to have like some nano concerns as well in certain fights. So I usually just end up using these, but I would look into that if you're kind of a min-maxer. Ancient Spirit Remedy and Ancient Spirit Purge, these are crafted from items from Albtrom. I think they're kind of hard to farm, and like maybe this was like added before these Health and Nano Stims were so easy to acquire. I feel like nowadays this just isn't very good. Maybe if your first aid is right around 1601, you could justify using this over an equivalent Health and Nano Stim in certain circumstances. But one problem with these is that the healing window is so large. There's like significantly more RNG, and it also locks you out for more time. That combined with like how hard it is to farm, relatively speaking, I think it's just like not practical. I never bother using these. Maybe I'll look into it a little bit more, but as far as I can tell, I don't know if it's really worth it. This Spirit Purge, maybe the Spirit Purge is a little bit better. Like it really cuts snares and roots down like crazy, and also AO debuffs. Maybe it's a little easier to farm than. Let's see what it locks. Oh, it locks first aid, so you can use it every 30 seconds. Whereas these next items, which are these like Purifying Rods, Rod of Dismissal, Staff of Cleansing that reduces everything. These have longer lockouts and on a different skill, 600 seconds down to 300 seconds, and then this one I'm just including here because it's reusable, but it comes from like the item store or something. And I think there is a new item from, let's see, yeah, from the Subway raid that does something similar to these. It also locks Nanopool, and it only has 180-second lockout as compared to 300-second lockout over here, and it reduces damage over times, roots, snares, initiative debuffs. I think just like this one does. So maybe this Purification Stim is like the current best-in-class version of the Rod of Dismissal, and has a lower lockout time than Staff of Cleansing, so it's even better than that, arguably. Except it looks like you have to be level 201 or higher to use it. This Gnuff's Rift Crystal and Gnuff's Eternal Rift Crystal, these are interesting. I'll just use this here. This one is reusable, so it's not a consumable, but I think it comes from the item store. It does one of these guys in your NCU, you know, the different blessings. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 different blessings. People like to have both of these. This one drops from Gnuff in that PvP dungeon that no one ever goes to. And the main difference between it and the Eternal Rift Crystal, which isn't used up, is that this has a much shorter lockout time. So if you're in a fight where this might be useful, you pop this one at the start of the fight, and then you pop this one to get 2 pops during the fight. You can't have more than that because this Rift Crystal is unique, so you can't just stack a bunch of these and have this usable every 300 seconds. It's really something that you gotta plan for if you really have a fight where you need double pops of those. And here are a bunch of different sharp objects. Let me see here. I'll just go through some of these quickly. Sharp objects is a great quote-unquote dump stat for people looking to spend spare IP and get a bunch of nice extra damage for it. I think nowadays these items are even more useful because they're affected by your add damage. So the more add damage you have, the more damage these little consumable sharp objects and grenades or whatever do. So there's Kizzer Moles, which tons of people use because they're super easy to use. I think there's some other ones, Circus Throwing Dagger, these are pretty bad. Lava capsules are great. They have a relatively low sharp object requirement. Same lockout time as Kizzer Moles, but they do way more damage. Back in the day, I'm guessing that these were pretty impractical because they dropped from an Inferno Dyna Tyro Beast Handler. But nowadays, I think these are very popular because they've been duped like crazy. So you can see here I have a stack of like 13,000 that I just bought from the GMI because I'm assuming they're just duped like crazy, but they're really, really good. Every profession can use them, I guess, as long as you're not a fruit. And here's some more. Some of these are okay. I think all of the ones after this point drop from Pandemonium. I'll just go through these really quickly. On my shade, I use this one, Fallen Star. It's really nice. It does like less damage than Lava Capsule, but note that it has a much lower lockout time. So that combined with the fact that add damage affects these items, the more add damage you have, the faster you want that lockout time to be. So you get more usage out of the amount of add damage that you have. So really nice. There's these higher level ones, which this one looks pretty crazy. The Hero's Discus. I don't think my shade can easily get to this much sharp object. I'm sure like an agent probably can or something. I don't know. This is the one I use though. There's some really nice items there that I would look into. Another dump stat is Grenade, which does an area of effect, and that area of effect is also affected by high damage, so these are really nice. They only come up to quality level 125, and you buy them from some like random booth in sided shops, which is why they're limited to quality level 125. If you ever find one at 125, I would buy like as many as you can because it's just kind of annoying to find them. A random little item here. These are NCU upgrades. I've actually never used these, but I haven't played Engineer very much. I think you can use them on like a Krat Pet too, but I've just never had a circumstance where I needed more NCU. but as far as I can tell, there are legitimate circumstances where your engineer pet will need more NCU. So you can buy these from shops, or you can craft this item from some Alapa trade skill, I believe. So there are a few items that I don't have, and I'm just going to run over to the GMI to take a look at them. The first one is Charge of Repair. Let's see what it is. This is an item that drops from the little scooplet mobs, and if you actually want to try to farm it, I've tried a little bit, but I've never succeeded. I try here. There's a good amount of scooplet mobs in here. There's some scooplet mobs here. I think there might be better like clan spots for farming this, but I haven't explored too much. This item has really low requirements to use. The problem is, first of all, it's unique. It has a really low drop rate, so it's really just like a random emergency tool you can use once in a fight. And it also doesn't come in at quality levels this high. I think it's going to be more like around level 80, and it'll only heal for like 700-ish. But if you actually have a way to farm these, it would be nice like as an emergency tool, I think, because they are so easy to use. The requirements are so low. I've just never been able to find one, but it's a pretty nice item, especially for like extreme duel scenarios, I guess. And nowadays there's all kinds of crazy Nano Cans. I'll show the ones that are actually for sale here. Lots of different twinking Nano Cans. Let's see. The grid conversion Nano Cans are really nice because they let you teleport into the grid from the Shadowlands, which is super cool. Some of these twinking ones are super like unnecessary, unless I forget if neuronal stimulator is usable by Frubs if they use the can. But treatment transfer is a good one. It's way more convenient to use this cam than to like bother a doctor. A lot of these you can get from Canbert, the guy in Borealis. If you just run up to him and tell him help, he'll offer you some free cans. And then there are also some other cans that are better than these that drop from, or sorry, that are bought from the item store. The pay to win cans that you have to buy. There's one that adds 20 to all abilities instead of the 12 that you can get from composites. There's one that adds, I think, 35 to treatment and 35 to computer literacy. Those are two separate cans instead of the 20 that you can get respectively from expertises for those skills. I think most people know about those. They cost like 300 Funcom points or whatever they're called. Let's see what else there is. Aged Brandy, this is a random item. It drops from Foreman's, from like Chief Base Protector, I think it might be called. It adds 20 health for 600 seconds, but it stacks with itself, so you can get like a decent little amount of health from it, I guess. But I don't, practically speaking, I don't think there's any reason to ever try to farm this. I want to show off a search feature on AO Galaxy, which is useful if you're wanting to research consumable or reusable items, because a lot of the times these items will come with skill locks, and AO Galaxy lets you search for items with skill locks. So one class of item that I haven't covered yet is Bow Special Attack. Here are all the different items, all the different special arrows that you can get. I've never used a bow, so I don't know much about these. I have seen an AO Frubies video that I believe used this one, the Frozen Cherry Blossoms. They used it in order to like snare those mobs that run towards the boxes in DB3 on floor 4. Because like it lands super easily and it snares them even that it's only minus 200 run speed, it still snares them to the point where they like stop running or something. There's some interesting special arrows here that I would look into if you're a bow user, and if you're a fixer like I am, there are a couple different special fixer bullets, just like fixer grenades basically, cluster bullets, and these ones that I never use. The cluster bullets do AoE damage and have a shorter lockout time, but if you're a fixer, I would just look into those a little bit. This one might be useful in certain scenarios. I'm not really sure. I haven't looked into it too much. Metaphysicists will want to look at these funeral urn pets, which are actually consumables apparently. I think I've heard that the Tormented Revenant is like the best DPS that a Froob can get. Oh yeah, it probably literally says this right here. Maybe not. Anyway, I don't know how this one does for paid players, but it looks disgusting. So hopefully it doesn't do very well, because I don't want to ever see this in game. And finally, I want to point out like the best consumable. One of the best consumables is, or used to be at least, advanced hacked blister packs or hacked pills with advanced insurance hack. You can see someone right now is trying to buy this item for one of these items. They're trying to buy it for 32 billion credits. This item used to be, I think, blitzable or like rollable. You could just roll missions that had this blister pack, or maybe it was the pill. I don't know, and I don't know what stack sizes they were. But it's really nice because any profession can use it, and it's just like it lets you use the advanced insurance hack nano that fixers have. It's like an upgraded version of Sanity recovery medication, basically. Let's see, it does like the equivalent of 40 gives the equivalent of 40 heal delta for a character that has a 2-second heal delta interval. So that's like really good, and for soloing or whatever, really, it would be great to have that nano. So it's disappointing that it's like not possible to get it anymore. Although hopefully someone out there still has it in their bank. I don't think they just like deleted it from the game entirely. I think they just removed it from the loot table in order to clean stuff up. So if you have a fat stack of that item, I would love to get my hands on some of it, because it's a super powerful little thing. And I don't have any of them yet, even though I should, because I've been playing since 2001. Anyway, that's all of the consumable items that I know about. Let me know if there's anything I'm missing, and I'll see you in the next video.